The void was silent. Stars glittered like watchful eyes as the human battleship Horizon's spear drifted through the outer rim patrol zone. Its mission was routine: border surveillance, cataloging asteroid drifts, monitoring for pirate activity. For the crew, it was another long week in the endless dark. But the silence broke. Sensors flared red across the bridge. Multiple signatures, dozens, no, hundreds, closing in. Contacts! Bearing 093 high velocity! Ensign Ramirez shouted, his voice cracking as the holomap bloomed with hostile markers. Fleet class mass! Sir, it's a trap! Captain Adrian Locke narrowed his eyes. His hands tightened on the armrests of his command chair. He had felt something was wrong the moment they entered this sector. Too quiet. Too easy. The Karathi Dominion, predators of the void, ruthless conquerors who saw humanity as an annoyance, clever enough to build ships, foolish enough to think they belonged among the stars. And now the Karathi had sprung their ambush. Over 100 warships uncloaked in formation, weapons already charged. The void itself seemed to shudder as the Dominion fleet surrounded the lone human vessel. Open channel, Locke ordered calmly. The main screen lit with the cruel, scaled visage of Admiral Vare, fangs glinting in a smile that dripped contempt. Human, the alien hissed, his voice translated with a guttural rasp. You are surrounded. One ship against the Dominion? You are prey caught in the hunter's jaws. Power down your engines. Jettison your weapons. Kneel before the rightful rulers of the galaxy. The crew froze. Ensign Ramirez's hands trembled above his console. Lieutenant Kira Volkov muttered, a curse under her breath. Some of the younger officers looked at the captain with pleading eyes. One ship against hundreds? The math was impossible. Locke's expression didn't waver. And if we refuse? The alien's smile widened. Then you die screaming and your ship becomes scrap for our forges. Surrender now. Spare yourselves pain. The channel cut. Silence again. Only the steady thrum of the ship's reactor filled the void. Locke rose slowly from his chair. His voice carried across the bridge, measured, steady, unbreakable. They expect us to kneel. They expect us to beg. But we are not prey. His gaze swept his crew. We are humanity. And if the Dominion wants our surrender, he leaned forward, eyes burning. Then let's teach them what it costs to demand it. The crew straightened. Fear gave way to steel. Status of the Silent Edge system? Locke asked. Operational, Lieutenant Volkov replied, her voice steadier now. Stealth arrays ready. Good. Initiate. The Horizon spear vanished. To Dominion sensors, the massive human battleship flickered out of existence, swallowed by a veil of bending light and warped emissions. Confusion rippled across the alien fleet. Locke smiled coldly. Arm gravity lances, target their command cruisers first. The void screamed. A single lance of artificial gravity tore through space, invisible yet catastrophic. One Dominion cruiser folded in on itself like crushed paper, vanishing into a singularity of its own making. Another ship shattered as if ripped, apart by a god's hand. The aliens reeled. What are they? One of their comms burst across the open channel, panicked. Admiral, they shouldn't... But the annihilation had only begun. Locke's voice was calm, surgical. Fire in sequence. Let them see. The Horizon's spear emerged from cloak, just for an instant, unleashing hell. Plasma cannons erupted, shearing through Dominion shields. Like they were parchment. Missile silos spat storms of warheads that danced through enemy formations with inhuman precision. In less than 3 minutes, a dozen Dominion ships were gone, obliterated, shredded, reduced to burning wreckage. The aliens had thought they were the hunters. Now they realized they were the hunted. Sir, they're scattering, Ramirez shouted. Formations breaking. Panic in their ranks. Good, Locke said, eyes hard. Press the advantage. The spear dove into the heart of the fleet, like a predator among frightened herd beasts. It tore through them with brutal elegance, every strike calculated, every movement precise. Dominion warships fired wildly, but the spear's armor shrugged off their desperate volleys. On the bridge of his failing flagship, Admiral Vare snarled in disbelief. "Impossible! One ship cannot—" But it was possible. Because this was not just a ship. It was human ingenuity forged into steel. Every ambush, every insult, every dismissal humanity had endured in the galaxy had led to this moment. The Dominion expected weakness. Instead, they met annihilation. Hours later, the void was silent once more. Where a mighty fleet had once loomed, only wreckage drifted. Fires crackled in the vacuum, hull fragments spun endlessly, of over 100. Dominion warships, fewer than 10, limped away, broken, battered, humiliated. Locke stood at the center of the bridge. His crew was exhausted but alive. Their eyes glowed with something new, not just survival, but pride. "Message to Fleet Command," Locke ordered softly. "Tell them the Dominion tried to break us. Tell them they failed. Tell them—" He paused, his voice carrying into the silence of the stars. "Humanity does not kneel." And as the horizon's spear sailed away from the graveyard of its enemies, the galaxy would whisper of this day, the day a human ship was ambushed, the day the aliens expected surrender, and the day they found annihilation. The Resolute was a ship built for peace. On the outside, it looked unremarkable. Sleek silver hull, wide wings designed for long-range travel, diplomatic insignias painted across its side. It was known throughout human space as a vessel of diplomacy, carrying envoys, scientists, and cultural liaisons. Its mission was to extend humanity's hand to the stars. But in the galaxy, peace was often mistaken for weakness. When the Resolute entered the neutral corridor of Gerin space, the trap was already waiting. Sensors screamed to life. Red lights pulsed across the bridge. "Multiple contacts!" the tactical officer cried. "At least 30. No, 40 warships. Sir, we're surrounded." Captain Celine Ward stood at the center of the command deck, her jaw tightening as alien markers filled the star map. Her crew shifted in unease, eyes darting between consoles and the looming signatures of hostile ships. Then the transmission came. A massive reptilian form filled the main screen, scales glistening like burnished armor. It was High Warlord Kravax of the Jor Dominion. Behind him, several other species leaders appeared, an entire coalition of powers united by one belief. Humans did not belong in the galactic order. "Humans," Kravax growled, his voice dripping disdain, "you have overreached. You dress your vessel in the guise of peace. But we know what you are. Intruders. Parasites. You will power down, surrender your ship, and kneel before the rightful rulers of these stars." The bridge was silent. The alien fleet was overwhelming. Layer upon layer of firepower trained on a single human vessel. For most civilizations, this would be the end. Kravax's toothy grin widened. "Do not resist. You are outmatched. One ship cannot stand against us." Captain Ward's voice was soft, almost gentle when she finally spoke. "One ship cannot stand against you? Perhaps. But the Resolute is not just a ship." The aliens laughed, a chorus of mockery across the channel. Ward gave a single nod. "Helm! Prepare combat systems!" The bridge transformed. Panels slid open, revealing hidden arrays of weaponry beneath what had once looked like diplomatic consoles. The walls hummed with energy. Red markings ignited across the hull as concealed ports blossomed into launchers. The Resolute shed its disguise. To the alien coalition, shock rippled through their fleets. This was no peaceful envoy. It was a predator cloaked in silk. "Lock targets," Ward ordered. Her voice carried the cold certainty of steel. "We strike first." The void erupted. Dozens of missile pods spat streaks of light weaving through, the black like angry stars. Railguns thundered, firing slugs at near-light speeds. The Resolute's main cannon discharged a pulse of condensed plasma so powerful it cracked the shields of a battleship in half. The coalition scrambled in disbelief. "Impossible! This is a diplomatic craft!" one alien commander shrieked over comms. But the truth was brutal. Earth had learned. Centuries of survival on a hostile world had taught humanity a single rule: prepare for war, even in peace. Ward's ship was proof. "Target their flagships," Ward said, her tone calm amidst chaos. "Cut the head, and the body will panic." The bridge vibrated as the main gun charged again. A blinding beam lanced out, cleaving through Kravax's command ship. Fire consumed the vessel, fragments scattering like shattered glass. Silence struck. The alien channels, then panic. They destroyed the flagship. "Pull back! Their firepower! The coalition's mighty formation fractured. Some ships attempted retreat, others fired wildly in desperation. But the Resolute was merciless. Every move it made was calculated, every strike precise. Swarms of automated drones launched, darting between enemy ships like metallic wasps, tearing through engines and reactors. Shields that were considered impenetrable flickered and collapsed. What had been an ambush became a slaughter. On the bridge, Ensign Dela Cruz whispered in awe. They thought we were defenseless." Ward's gaze never left the chaos unfolding on the screen. "They thought wrong, and now they will remember." Another cruiser detonated in a flare of light. Another battleship split in two, drifting lifeless through the void. Within minutes, the coalition fleet, once so confident, so overwhelming, was reduced to broken husks and fleeing survivors. By the time the firing ceased, silence reigned once more. Where 40 ships had encircled the Resolute, only a handful limped away into the dark, carrying tales of horror back to their people. Ward stood tall, her expression unreadable. "Transmit to Earth Command," she said. "Inform them the ambush failed. Humanity's flag still flies." Her crew exhaled, some smiling through exhaustion, others simply staring at the wreckage in disbelief. The Resolute, scarred but unbroken, sailed forward. And across the galaxy, a new truth spread like wildfire. If a single diplomatic vessel could annihilate a coalition fleet, then what of humanity's true war fleet, the ones they kept hidden? The galaxy trembled with the answer. That day, the Resolute became legend. The day aliens expected surrender and found only annihilation. The stars stretched endlessly, cold and indifferent, as the human cruiser Iron Will glided along the trade lane. Unlike most missions, this one wasn't about patrol or war. It was about protection. The cargo it carried was not weapons or resources, but lives. Hundreds of human refugees filled its bays, families fleeing the ashes of colonies destroyed in alien raids. Their whispers and fears traveled through the metal corridors, reaching even the bridge, where Captain Elena Marlowe stood with unshakable resolve. Her vow had been simple: no human left behind. But in the dark of the void, promises are tested. "Captain!" Her tactical officer, Lieutenant Drexler, shouted as alarms blared. "Multiple hostiles incoming. They've cut off the lane ahead and behind." Elena's jaw tightened as the holomap filled with hostile signatures. The raiders weren't pirates, but soldiers, alien slavers, infamous for their brutality. Their ships fanned out, engines glowing like predatory eyes, boxing the Iron Will into a cage of steel and fire. A transmission demanded attention. The main screen flared alive, showing the gnarled visage of a Zorath warlord, tusks glistening under dim crimson light. "Human captain," the warlord growled, his voice dripping. Mockery. You are surrounded. We know what you carry. Refugees, weaklings, prey. Surrender your ship, hand them over, and we might spare your crew. Resist, and you all die screaming. On the bridge, silence pressed heavy. The refugees had no weapons, no defenses. The Iron Will was one ship against more than 20 warships. Logic whispered surrender. Elena's gaze was steel. Her crew saw it. The fire in her eyes, the oath she carried in her heart. She rose from her chair. "Transmit my reply," she said softly. The channel opened. Her voice, calm and unwavering, cut through the void. "You've made a mistake," she said. "You thought you found prey. What you found was humanity's promise. We do not bow, we do not break, and no one takes our people." The warlord laughed, booming and cruel. Empty words. "You will kneel, woman, all of you will kneel." The channel cut. The crew looked to Elena. Some eyes held fear, others burned with trust. Her voice rang clear across the bridge. "Battle stations, power up all systems. Today we show them what it means to corner humanity." The Iron Will transformed. What had seemed a modest escort cruiser revealed its hidden fangs. Hull panels slid apart, exposing missile pods and plasma batteries. Energy conduits glowed as the reactor surged. Deep within the ship, ancient weapons stirred, systems outlawed by most galactic treaties, but kept by humans for one purpose: survival. The first volley came from the slavers. Plasma fire streaked across the void, striking the Iron Wills. Shields with a thunderous flare, the ship shuddered but held. "Return fire," Elena commanded. The Iron Will answered with fury. Cannons roared, tearing through the void. Missiles spiraled into enemy formations, detonating with blinding bursts. A slaver frigate erupted in flames, scattering debris across the battlefield. The raiders howled in shock. This was no meek transport ship. "Captain!" Drexler shouted, sweat running down his face. "They're regrouping for a full strike." Then, "We break them first," Elena said. "Activate the Leviathan." Gasps filled the bridge. The Leviathan cannon, a weapon humanity had sworn never to use except in absolute desperation. A weapon that could crack moons. The slavers advanced in arrogant confidence, convinced no single cruiser could withstand them. Then the void itself screamed. The Iron Will's Leviathan cannon unleashed a torrent of condensed energy. A beam of white fire tore through space, punching straight through 3 enemy cruisers. Their shields disintegrated like tissue, hulls splitting apart, fragments spinning lifeless into the abyss. The refugees below felt the ship's tremor. They didn't know what weapon had fired, but they heard the distant thunder and prayed it meant survival. On the bridge, Elena's voice was calm. "Target their command ship. End this." The slaver warlord's vessel loomed, larger and more, heavily armored than the rest. Its weapons burned with power, confidence radiating from its monstrous bulk. But confidence means nothing against conviction. The Iron Will dove forward, cutting through enemy fire like a blade through storm. Its weapons sang, plasma tearing into escorts, rail slugs ripping through shielding. The warlord roared commands, but panic seeped into his crew as ship after ship fell. Then the Leviathan fired again. The beam carved into the command ship, tearing its spine in half. Explosions rippled along its body until it broke apart, a dying star bleeding into the void. The Warlord's final transmission sputtered through static. "Humans are not supposed to be this strong." Then nothing but silence. The battlefield quieted. Wreckage drifted. Silent tombs of ships that had believed humanity weak. The bridge of the Iron Will erupted in cheers, but Elena did not smile. Her gaze was on the refugee decks, her thoughts with the children and families who had nearly been lost. She spoke softly, but the weight of her words carried across every channel. "Let the galaxy hear this. Humanity does not surrender. Its own. We do not bow. We do not break. And to those who would make us pray, remember this day. Remember the iron will. In the refugee holds, people wept, not from fear, but from relief. Mothers held children close. Fathers whispered thanks to the captain they had never met but who had saved them all. Captain Elena Marlowe stood tall at her command chair, her vow fulfilled, and across the stars, whispers spread of the battle where aliens expected surrender and found only annihilation.